Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Revere End podcast. Myself and Billy are here for I guess, more of a bite-sized kind of video. Hopefully, shouldn't be more than like 5-10 minutes, but knowing us, it'll probably be about an hour long. Just on the kind of breaking news that we've seen reported from multiple different sources in the media that Max Aarons is pretty much, I'd say, very much likely to complete his move to Barcelona. In terms of like a time scale, obviously it's worth noting from what I've seen, I haven't seen like a clear, okay, it will be tomorrow or whatnot. So I don't really know how long it's going to be before, but it's fairly fair to say kind of in what's come out in the last 15-20 minutes, Bill, that it looks like it's very much likely to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a bizarre weekend or sort of Friday to Saturday for Norwich City because the Emi Buendia interview was released, and then we had this sort of speculation around Max Aarons potentially joining Barcelona on loan, which seems ludicrous, but and we discussed it in our previous pod that the deal then wasn't right, but it looks like Barcelona haven't been able to secure the services of the Ajax right back Dest, I believe, Sergio Dest or something. I'm not too sure, not too familiar, but it looks like they've sort of turned their attentions back to Max Aarons, and this time they've gone in for a initial loan, which will then trigger at the end of that loan will trigger a mandatory payment, which where Max will be handed a 5-year contract at Barcelona, which is absolutely crazy. It sort of broke from Spanish media and it sort of filtered its way through to Norwich or England, sorry. And now Norwich fans have obviously picked up on it. And well, there's an account called Sexy Bennett, which some of you might be familiar with, which is pretty much, I don't think he's ever sort of, well, they have ever got it wrong. And he said it's nailed on to happen. So it looks like it's just a matter of time. By the time you're watching this, it might already be out. What we're going to try and do, I suppose, is sort of get our thoughts across on the deal, what we think about it, and also if any Barcelona fans or anybody sort of generally is watching that they want a little bit of an insight on Max Aarons, and hopefully we can provide that as well.
Now, obviously, it's worth noting that I guess I kind of just naturally from kind of seeing the tweets that you've released, I have a rough guide of how you feel about this. And you don't really have any idea about how I feel. But if you start off first, I mean, what are your initial feelings from hearing the news that is looking like Max Aarons is going to depart from the club?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't lie. I'm ecstatic, which is such a bizarre position to be in. And you're probably watching that going, why are you excited that one of your star players is leaving? Now, this has been on the cards for a while. I don't think any of us really expected for us to be able to keep all of our sort of assets. So it sort of seemed a matter of inevitability. And when someone like Jamal Lewis leaves from Newcastle, it's like, okay, yeah, like good luck, like good move. He's back to Premier League football, but doesn't really mean anything. Again, it's like, all right, it's a decent deal for the club, but this is such a indication of where Norwich are now as a football development side, really. I mean, you haven't given me your opinion yet, but I know over our conversations sort of over the last few years sitting next to each other at football and stuff that we're both in agreement that actually like development of youth is such a pivotal part of why we follow Norwich, and what it's a real important aspect to us. And for years, Norwich have never developed young players until Stuart Webber come in. And for us now to be sat here talking about one of our star assets, Max Aarons, leaving for Barcelona really excites me. And Norwich are getting a fair fee. And it's a great, like I say, it just, what a marker that is for any young talent wishing to come to Norwich and join their club. And it showcases what could happen when given your opportunity and if you apply yourself properly. And I mean, yeah, feel free to sort of give me your opinion. I'm presuming it might be slightly different, but yeah, I'm sort of intrigued what you think, really.
Well, first off, the first point I was going to say was literally the point that you made about the fact that now, whenever we are in a position where, for example, a player is like, okay, Norwich are interested in me. I'm 19, 20 years old. I'm looking to potentially make a move there. What is the draw to Norwich? The draw is that you can develop to a player which is good enough to go to Barcelona. Now, I know that's a bit of a false statement in the way that you have to be a certain kind of player with a certain kind of talent to fit the rota to be able to be courted by a club like Barcelona. But the thought that now a player from Norwich, I know he's from Luton, but he's really from Norwich, the way he's come through the academy, who we didn't see until played away at Ipswich, a couple of seasons ago, and to think now he's going to be in the same kind of team as Lionel Messi and all these stars, and a legend like Ronald Koeman is going to be teaching him how to defend and develop his game. I'm very happy for Max. I guess on a personal level, not that I know him, but I guess you always want to see people do well and succeed like that. So I'm glad for him. I do have a couple of things, obviously, which I feel like I don't know the information of yet, but I would need to find out to tell you if I'm comfortable. Obviously, the downside is that we're not going to see any of this money for a minimum of 12 months, right? Which you can look at it as, okay, it's good because it means next summer you can plan ahead because you'll know that you're going to have that money. I understand that. But right now, do I feel like with Max out the side, we are deep enough to be able to still, because at the end of the day, Bali Mumba, he was playing 8th tier football last year, for South Shields. And I've no doubt that from what I've seen of him in the short stints that he looks like a terrific player. But with Sam Byram out until January, and I don't really like say Lucas Ripper as a backup because I don't really want him to be back up in midfield, let alone a right back. But I am a little bit nervous. I won't lie. I feel like this has definitely come out of the blue, and I can tell because Norwich haven't had the chance to prepare, and they haven't had, and you can tell because there's no real rumours or no player brought in beforehand. And I think if it wasn't for the fact that it was Barcelona coming in right now, we'd probably be like, look, hands off. He's here until January. He can come back in. I'm also intrigued to find out the actual price. I've seen, like we mentioned earlier, 6 minutes saying it's actually a lower fee than we're anticipating, with a higher sell-on. But then we've also seen from Gillian Balagay, I don't know, I probably butchered that, who is a really reliable source. He's saying it's 20 million plus 10 million. I don't know what that means, whether that's 20 million the first year, 10 million a year later. Again, it's so unclear because it's just broke. But if we are looking at 20 to 30 million for Max Aarons, and I guess he is going to go to Barcelona, which is going to have an effect on players joining us in the future in a positive way. I think that's probably one of the best deals that we could have probably asked for. He's not going to affect us if we do go up, and we're not going to, it's not like we're strengthening someone. Not that it really matters the way we are, but I think it's always nicer when you send someone away to a different league as well. You're not going to get that kind of bite back, when he somehow scores a screamer, to send you down or something. But I'd like to know what you think about like the finance side of it, Bill, because obviously we're all kind of in the dark right now. But what price would you be happy with for Max Aarons in this scenario?
I'd agree with you. Like 20 to 30 million seems fair. I'm not too fussed when that comes in because we know Norwich are in a strong financial position currently, and it does. I'm expecting another sort of major sale to be made before the end of the transfer window. So I don't feel like that's a massive issue. We've already invested, and that money can then be, like you say, it's guaranteed to come in next summer. I suppose the loan move is interesting because it is seldom really been done, has it, for in a situation like this? I suppose it's because the financial situation that Barcelona find themselves in. That's probably a good indication as to why the deal is sort of packaged in this way. But I'd agree, sort of 20 to 30 million seems fair. Obviously, what Norwich will be hoping for, and we know how Stuart Webber operates in terms of transfer outgoings, is he does include a sizable sell-on fee. That's sort of paramount in any deal that Stuart Webber will conduct. So hopefully, this Max Aarons, proves himself in Barcelona, and a club goes out and gets sort of pays a sizable fee in a few years' time for Max. I mean, I can't really foresee that happening just because of how many English right backs are out there in the Premier League. But
it's a shame there wasn't a loan back option. In all honesty,
I agree.
But that kind of tells me that the only reason why is because they're probably loaning him on a much smaller wage than which will be in his contract, if that makes sense. So because he's technically not signing till next year, they'll probably financially, like you say, be able to afford it. But at least this year they have to pay him probably like the pittance of what he's on now compared to what his new deal will be. I guess kind of like so we don't kind of ramble on, as I guess that kind of the last thoughts on this because it is so fresh. Like I say, whatever our reaction is now, there is so many things that could come up which could change our perceptions of this deal. Like I say, yesterday, and I was watching Ben Ambrose's video about this subject. Likewise, and kind of everyone from the Norwich media, everyone was so against it, and it's just come out, and now everyone's like, "Oh yeah, cool, that's a really good deal," and it just shows you how quick things can happen. Now, I would like to kind of, I know I kind of alluded to it earlier on, Bill, but I'd like to know a little bit about your thoughts on our cover, whether it's a lack of or you're kind of confident. So how do you feel like we're gonna kind of fare if we were to lose Aaron's?
I think this is probably where like the majority of Norwich fans' anxiety lies. In all honesty, like I say, there has been a sort of shift in feeling towards this or attitude towards this sort of deal from Norwich fans' perspective. But there is still a sort of a degree of apprehension surrounding the options we do have. You're quite right that Bali Mumba obviously is extremely inexperienced, and whilst he has sort of impressed during his sort of cameo appearances or the game against Luton in pre-season, it might still be a step too early. And obviously, the only other natural right back option we do have Sam Byram, who is still out injured and has been for as long as I can remember. So how reliable he is, I'm not too sure. I can certainly understand why Norwich fans are worried, and I wouldn't be surprised to see investment made in this position. The thing that I would say is Norwich have seldom utilised more than sort of 2 or 3 fullbacks per season. Last season we saw Max and Jamal along with Sam Byram be our only options in that position, and it does leave us weak on both the right hand side and the left hand side, with obviously McCallum leaving on loan as well. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised to see more recruitment done now that obviously they didn't maybe necessarily expect such deals to occur. But if we were going into this season now with our squad, I would be happy. I can completely understand that Lucas Rupp probably, I can see why you'd sort of be worried as to, relying on him to be a sort of regular right back cover option. But I'll say the one thing, and Max Aarons was given a chance when he was, a few years ago when he was inexperienced and nobody knew who he was. And I'd like to think that we'll do the same with Mumba, and we'll give him the nod, regardless of any incomings that are done, because I think he deserves the opportunity. And I think that is the whole blueprint of our model, I suppose.
I guess to kind of ask you one final question, and it might sound a little bit ridiculous, but do you honestly believe that us selling Max Aarons and you essentially utilizing Bali Mumba as our right back, like you said, kind of almost like when we had Max Aarons when he first came into the side, do you honestly think it makes us a weaker team?
Yeah, but that's not the point. Like, this isn't an issue about Norwich being stronger or weaker. It's the same with McCallum. Like I said, the same thing. Norwich are a weaker side without Sam McCallum in terms of depth, but you have to look at the bigger picture and what this opportunity sort of lends itself to, and the possibilities that could arise in a few months' time. We sell Max Aarons for 20 to 30 million, and we develop Bali Mumba, a player who we bought for a couple of $100,000, into hopefully somebody of a similar level. Like, that's the aim. Whether Bali Mumba will be sold to Barcelona, I highly doubt it. But the whole principle of our model is to sell players on, ultimately to develop players and sell players on, and then provide other players with an opportunity. It'll be interesting to see if Jordan Thomas sort of remains out on loan. I suspect he will, but I get the point and I get the worry. But Norwich were never going to go into the whole championship campaign with a squad as strong as they were, and I think maybe Norwich fans got a little bit excited as to the thought of having a 30 man size squad, when in reality players were always going to be poached and players were always going to be sent out on loan to sort of gain further experience. That last point isn't applicable to Max Aarons. This is a deal that is structured in a unique way. I just want to make that clear. But I certainly get the anxiety for sure.
Awesome. Well, in terms of kind of like for myself, I don't really have anything else left to say, because I think there's nothing really to say because it's so fresh. Yeah. It's just one of those things that I guess is pierced through every Norwich fan's heart because of the fact that we were so, I guess, comfortable with us rejecting the bid the other day, thinking, yeah, sweet, we've got him, no worries. But I guess we'll probably be making this video in a couple of years' time for when Bali Mumba makes his move there as well. But unless you have anything else to add, Bill, I think it's probably a good place to leave it. Once again, it's probably gonna be our smallest video ever, really, because we usually like to talk in depth for a long period of time. And I'm sure if the move does complete, we'll probably make a bit more of a video for what Barca fans can expect from Max Aarons from his time here, and kind of looking at him as a player, which should be fun to make. But until the next time, guys, obviously, if you want to hear a little bit more from us, we always upload on this YouTube channel at least once or twice a week. And if not, you can get in touch with us on Twitter at the Revere End, and that's for any kind of interaction or tweeting or whatnot. You can find us there. So until the next time, guys, see you later.